y'all, and welcome to today's video. I am going to be showing you some palettes, and we are going to do swatches and close-ups of these palettes, and I'm going to tell you which one I would recommend to you if I'm comparing the two. Now, I'm not saying that these palettes are dupes of one another. I'm not saying if you want both, you shouldn't get both. I'm just going to be giving my thoughts. I went through my collection and I found a few palettes that I'm like, you know, these are pretty similar, not only in color story, but also in price point. So maybe it could be fun if we're looking at two palettes to tell you which one I would recommend if you were thinking about these. I don't know, it's something new we're gonna try on my channel. You can let me know if you like it. I thought it'd be fun to swatch them out, do close-ups with y'all, and kind of give you my thoughts. And I didn't want to, you know, take like a drugstore palette and a luxury palette and compare them. I wanted them to be palettes that were somewhere in the same price range, you know, like at least within $10 of one another. So we're going to do that today. I'm going to tell you these palettes that have similar vibes, which one I would recommend. Y'all let me know if you like it. And if you're new here, I want to say, hey, my name is Heather and makeup makes me happy. Here at my channel, we don't try to be perfect. We just want to have a good time with our makeup, whatever that means. I do upload lots of new videos every single week, so I hope that you will subscribe before you leave today. I'm uploading basically every day right now. So if you don't want to miss out on all that new makeup content, hit the subscribe button. I am looking forward to talking about these palettes though, so let's just jump into it. Okay, so what we're gonna do is talk about two palettes that have similar vibes, similar color stories. They're in the same price range of one another, and you know what, maybe it's easier if I just show you instead of explain my thought process. But I pulled the Urban Decay Wild Greens palette and the Anastasia Beverly Hills Nouveau palette. I think both of these palettes have similar-ish color stories. Maybe you're looking at one thinking like, do you need it? Do you want it? Which one should you get? You want a palette with this type of color story? So all of these palettes, I actually pulled them and then I showed them to my husband. He is not a beauty consumer, and I wanted his opinion. I was like, look at these palettes. Do they look somewhat similar? Not the same, but similar. And he was like, yes, on all of these that I'm gonna compare today, because I'm like, I feel like I consume beauty content so much that I just don't see things as the same. But if I'm looking at it, I think these palettes have a similar vibe, right? Again, I'm not saying they're dupes, but they're both in the same price point. They're, you know, they're both like sold at Sephora and Ulta brands. And I definitely think, you know, that they're kind of similar. They're kind of similar. So I want to show you a close-up of these palettes, and I also want to show you swatches of these palettes. I have videos of both of these here on my channel, so if you want to see tutorials with either one, it's here on my channel. I've got you. Close-up swatches, all of that, thoughts, reviews, it's all here for you. But if I'm going off of these palettes, I have to say I would go with the ABH palette. If you're looking at these and you're like, I can't decide which one should I get, I kind of like this one better. Now this one from Urban Decay, I am actually into it. I was very excited to see new packaging from Urban Decay. I really like this packaging actually. I love the eye. I love that it opens like this. I just think that was pretty cool. Now, Wild Greens, I'm not going to talk about the inspiration and the concept here, but I think overall this is a pretty palette. You do have some neutral shades. You have these light greens. You have these kind of corally tones. All very nice. I think this is a nice palette, but I do think the quality in this ABH palette is even better, and I think you have more options. So you still have these green shades, you still have these coral shades, you still have these neutrals, but I think the shimmers are just more impactful. I mean, you saw in the swatches, and I think you have a little more option with the ABH because you do have that bright lavender purple in here that you don't have in the Urban Decay. Both of these have the like kind of vanilla cream shade. I just, you know, I'm never going to tell you, do you need this? Do you need that? You don't need this. You don't need that. But hypothetically, we're shopping in Sephora together. We're shopping in Ulta together. We're looking at makeup and you're like, oh, I really like these palettes. Which one should I get? I'm going with ABH. Okay, let's take it to the drugstore side of things. Now, this BH Cosmetics Citrine for November palette was limited edition. You cannot get it anymore. So I thought, you know, this would also be fun to maybe show you, like, you wanted this palette, it's not available anymore, maybe something you could get instead. Again, all of the palettes that I pulled are good palettes. They're palettes that I like because I didn't want to pull a palette that I hate and a palette that I love and compare them because duh. I wanted to pull palettes that both of them were good quality and just which one I prefer more. So this BH palette I love. I love this palette. Is such a great color story with the yellows and the browns. We're going to pretend this pressed glitter is not here. I'm not somebody that hates pressed glitters, but I don't think BH Cosmetics makes good pressed glitters at all. So looking at this color story, I really like this palette. I love the quality in here. And you know, it kind of gives the same vibes as the new Colourpop C-3PO palette. So let's look at this one. Let me go ahead and show you a close-up and swatches of these two compared side by side. I think that's super helpful. Looking at the Colourpop C-3PO palette, you again have that yellowy brown color story. Now, the BH is no longer available. Personally, if I can only keep one, I'm going for the BH. These, if you can tell, the shades are just a little bit more saturated in the BH. I prefer the formula of this palette over here. Now, not all BH palettes are created equally. They have some that are good and some that are amazing. And this is the amazing BH that I love, but it's no longer available anymore. So I thought it would be fun to show you side by side with the C-3PO palette. Again, if I, you know, am confronted by this crazy makeup maniac and they're like, I'm taking one of these palettes. You can have one, but I'm taking one too. First of all, weird, but two, I would keep this one. If I could only keep one, I do like the quality better in this one. It's just a little more my preference, being a little more saturated. But I have to say, if you can't get your hands on this one, this C-3PO palette is really, really beautiful. I love that it's yellow and brown. I think it's really cute. Plus, it's C-3PO. Like, how adorable is that? I think it's so, so cute. But yeah, I know these birthstone palettes were like here for a month and then they were gone. So if you didn't get this one, but you were wanting this kind of yellowy brown eyeshadow palette, definitely check out this one from Colourpop. Okay, here's one where the price points don't really align, but I thought it was okay because I actually prefer the more drugstore priced palette, and that is this Berries palette. I love this palette. This is Beauty Bay 16 color palette. Now, Beauty Bay released this Berries color story. They also had, I think it was a 9 pan and then like a huge one, but I bought the 16 pan. I love these berry tones, and the one that I kind of compare this to is the Jaclyn Cosmetics Strawberry Feels palette. Now, I really like this one from Jaclyn Cosmetics too. And again, these are not dupes. These are not dupes of each other at all. I'm not saying any of these palettes are dupes or the exact same, anything like that. But this Jaclyn palette I really, really like. Let me show you the comparison and the swatches. The mattes in the Jaclyn palette, I think they're really nice. They layered well, they built up well, they were easy to blend, and I think where this palette didn't shine enough for me is just in the metallics. Overall, I really like this palette. I think Jaclyn Cosmetics did a good job with this one for sure. The shimmers are very standard, basic shimmers. I don't think they compete with the formulas that we've seen in recent years. I think they're a little shimmers 2017, you know, and shimmers have just gotten better over time, but the mattes are really pretty and the shimmers are smooth. Like, they're nice, they're fine. But if we're standing in the store and you're looking at both of these and you're like, Heather, which one should I get? I would go for the Beauty Bay. Not just because of price. Let's take price out of the equation, because this palette I think is like $15 or cheaper when you get it on sale, whereas this is a higher price point. And this palette, the Jaclyn palette, does have some neutrals in here. So I will say, of course, these aren't dupes, but I feel like if you're reaching for this, if you're looking for like strawberry feels, this Beauty Bay is the winner. I love that we have light tones to dark tones, and the shimmers in here are really special. You even get this one shade that's almost like a duochrome in here that shifts from kind of like this pink, but it has this little bit of like blue sparkle to it that's really cool. The mattes in here are just beautiful. The shimmers are beautiful. You have a nice big mirror in here. Overall, like I said, they're both really good palettes. I'm happy to have both of these in my collection, but if you're asking me, Heather, which one is better? Which one do you like more? I like this Beauty Bay Berries palette more. Okay, the last battle we're gonna have, or this or that, or whatever we're gonna call this, okay? I don't know. I pulled Modern Renaissance. This was like a groundbreaking palette for its time, right? We weren't seeing this color story a ton. Since it released, we've seen lots of palettes inspired by this. Of course, there are some brands out there that just straight up dupe other brands, but we see a lot of great palettes that were kind of inspired by this warm, neutral color story. And at the time, I think these formulas were amazing. They're still really nice. I really like this. I mean, look, I have hit pan on some shades. This is a great palette. I'm definitely not telling you, if you have any of these palettes, that I think you don't need them, you need to go out and buy something else. Of course not. That's never my intention. But, well, there went the brush. Okay. But if we're standing in a store, or you're DMing me and you're like, I want to get this one or that one, which one should I get? And I kind of saw this palette and I thought about Sigma New Mod. Now, these are not dupes. You can see the Modern Renaissance has this deep dark orange, whereas the New Mod has all the beautiful neutral, rosy, pinky tones. It doesn't have an orange, and it does lean a little more to the purple side. We even have this beautiful shifty shade that goes from like a baby blue to a purple, and I think the formula in the Sigma palette is better. It's more elevated. The shadows blend easily. They're more pigmented. They're a little more creamy. The shimmers offer something a little more special. Over here in the Modern Renaissance, you just have kind of that one shimmer formula. And again, it's just a little dated, which makes sense. This palette came out a long time ago, right? But over here with the Sigma palette, we have metallics, we have shimmers, we have those super sparkly shimmers. I kind of prefer the color story of this one, but I thought these would be fun to compare because they both come with a brush. They're both in that same price point. Even the packaging is not the same, but definitely similar vibes, right? So I thought it would be fun to compare these two and tell you kind of which one I would recommend more. And maybe you have Modern Renaissance. Maybe you bought it when it was first released and you've been hitting pan on a bunch of shades and you were thinking, I want to repurchase this palette, but maybe there's something better out there. And I would say, instead of going for this one, I would definitely recommend New Mod. I just like this one better. Now, those are all the comparisons I have. I want to know, do you like this style of video? If you do, I can definitely do more videos like this. Do you like that I took price point into consideration? Because as I was pulling palettes for this video and as I was kind of thinking about things, there were several things that I thought compared, but several of them I kind of liked the palette that was maybe like $20 more than the other palette. So I didn't know if that would be like a fair comparison to pull palettes that are so different in price point, kind of like that Jaclyn and the Beauty Bay, but I just prefer the less expensive palette more. So I was like, well, let me include it. Let me ask for y'all's feedback, see what y'all think. Do y'all want to see more videos like this? Please let me know. And do you want me to do more things other than just eyeshadow palettes? I can definitely do that. I would love to hear from y'all. Now, quickly, before this video is over, I want to tell you what else I'm wearing. I'm actually wearing the Glaminatrix Cosmetics Glamorous palette. I did film this eye look. It's either already on my Instagram or TikTok, or it will be coming very soon, but that's what I'm wearing on my eyes. On my lips, I'm wearing Unearthly Cosmetics Potion Matte Liquid Lipstick with NYX. This is Milky Gloss in the shade Milk and Honey. On my cheeks for blush, I'm wearing Persona Cosmetics Bubble. And then my highlighter is actually this Scooby-Doo highlighter from Glamlight. And I just mixed both of the shades to get this fun glow. But I want to say again, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you're having an awesome day, whatever you're doing. Again, please let me know if you want to see more videos like this. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll see you soon. Bye!